Steve Cassidy here. I'm going to talk now about the document object model in HTML, and particular access to the document object model from JavaScript. So the document object model, or DOM as I'll call it from now on, is a way that the web browser represents your HTML page. And it's an object model, so it's based on objects, as in object-oriented programming. And it's just the way that your browser represents the page so that it can render it, and also so that your JavaScript code can actually get access to it. So we have this kind of picture of the DOM, and it sort of illustrates sort of how it works really. So here's a fragment of HTML. We have a table which has got a table body and a couple of rows, and each row has a couple of table data, TD elements, and inside each of those is a bit of text, and so that translates into this tree-like structure. So we have the table up here, so each start and end tag corresponds to one of these rectangular boxes here. So the table, the body, the TRs and the TDs all correspond to those, and they're related using these parent-child links. So the table has one child, which is the body, and that's the containment. So you can see this table here contains this T-body from line 2 to 11, and the T-body contains those two TRs, and there are those two, and they're the children. So we say the T-body is the parent of the two TRs, and the two TRs are the children of the T-body. So this is the tree structure that we have, and this is the DOM. The DOM is a tree structure, looks like this. It has always a single root in the HTML page. The single root is the document itself and the HTML tag, and then below it all of the parts of that page. So we use this DOM model to access parts of the page in JavaScript. So let's take a look at it, and a great way to look at it and explore it is in your browser developer tools. So let's have a look at this section in here. If we use the developer tools, we can inspect that part of the page and get a bit of a view of what the DOM looks like. And the reason I'm looking at this developer view is we have this inspect pane here that we use to look at the elements is actually a representation of the DOM, of the document object model. And you can see it's sort of structured like a expandable structure here. This is actually the tree structure of the DOM. So we have at the top we have the document, and it's got the doc type there and the HTML tag, and the HTML then has the head and the body, and in the head we then have all of the metas and so on, the title, and in the body we have all of the contents of the body, all the divs, and so on, and we keep going down and down and down. So you can see the tree structure corresponding to the document object model here. Each of these things here is an object, is one of those rectangular boxes, and it has a number of properties. And you can see when we click on one of these things, let's click on this code segment here, which represents that word table. On the right hand side you can actually see some of the different properties of that. So you can see the styles that are associated with it and the computed size of that. There's the not DOM breakpoints we don't want. We could just see the properties. So we've got various properties of this thing. So it's got these children and so on. So the children of that thing are in fact essentially the table, that text there, and so on. Yeah. So the child nodes there is this one child node which is a text node, and that text node has the data table in it. So we can see that there. So you can see all these different properties of it, the properties from these are the event listeners and things like that. They're all part of this thing. So as we're exploring the elements here, we're exploring the DOM, and so we sort of become very familiar with it. Now the other thing that I can do in the developer tools is I can use the console here to try and get things. So let's try and sort of find some parts using the console. Here I've got a section, and there we could try and find, let's say, all of the code elements in here. So I can go to my console here, and here is where I can evaluate things, and the other good thing is that when you evaluate something in the console, you actually get a clickable thing, view of the results. So here I've evaluated document, that is the entire document, and essentially that's the document object, right? The document object model. So if I say document and then call one of the functions, say get element by tag name, and I try and find those code elements, so get elements by tag name, the result is a HTML collection with a whole lot, with 39 things in it. So there are a whole lot of code elements in that. Let's set that to a variable. Let's say codes equals that. So now codes is this list, and I can explore that in the 0th one is this one here, or I can just use the JavaScript thing to highlight that. And so this is this code, and here's code line, and it's actually a multi-level thing. So that's actually this block here that's got this whole lot of table lines in it, in fact. So I can do things like codes.inner text, and okay, that's not defined. Inner HTML, that's undefined too. So there you go, those two things aren't defined for that block. Oh, codes, sorry. Codes 0 is what I meant there. So codes is the whole list. So yeah, so code 0, this thing here, the inner HTML, is this stuff here, which is obviously what's rendered into that stuff there. And I could say inner text to get that as just plain text without all the markup in it. So we have, to recap, we have the document object model, which is this tree-like structure. When we're in the developer tools, we can explore that using this nice click and explore model. We can see the properties of the document object that we're looking at, the node that we're looking at over there, and we can use the console to explore the different parts of the document and sort of run some of the methods over the document object model. So the developer tools are a great place to explore the document object and the JavaScript interface to it. All right, that's all I have to say. Thank you.